Commercial vessels should complete a survey of the hull in a dry dock twice within a 5-year period and an intermediate survey within 36 months at the earliest. The dry dock is an opportunity for inspection and maintenance of the hull, propeller, rudder, and other parts which are immersed in water and are generally inaccessible by the crew when the vessel is sailing. Bringing the ship to the dry dock is a team effort between the ship's crew and dry dock personnel. Proper communication is the key to safely laying the ship's keel on the keel blocks. Dry dock personnel have to ensure the vessel is moored by assisting the dock crew once the ship comes inside the dry dock. The boatmaster has to ensure that fenders are rigged around the vessel before entry into the dry dock. While dry docking the boat, the duty of the crew, under the guidance of the boatmaster, will be to keep the ship at minimum ballast condition. They will have to keep the aft trim as requested by the dockmaster. The boatmaster has to sound all internal tanks before entering the dry dock. This is to accurately establish the volumes and weights on board. The boatmaster can enhance the positive stability by removing or reducing free surface effect by either pressing up or alternatively, pumping slack tanks out, if possible. Clearly, the state of fuel oil tanks and similar commodities may prove impractical to change. The boatmaster has to communicate with the dry dock manager and confirm the vessel's draft, trim and GM are as requested and required. The boatmaster has to calculate that the ship has enough positive stability to withstand the expected force that will affect the vessel when it takes the blocks. The GM should be large enough to compensate for a virtual rise in G once the keel touches the blocks and the vessel enters the critical period. The boatmaster has to prepare all the necessary documentation which may be required to complete the docking operation and the expected workload inside the dock. It would be helpful to prepare, as much as possible, the safety management system documents. Documents like permits to work, enclosed space entry permits, hot work permits, and all associated risk assessments should be drafted. The boatmaster completes the repair list and keeps it readily on hand to pass over to the dry dock authorities. The repair list will include, for example, dry dock staff to grip blast the anchor cable, and boat crew to repaint the shackle markings. Sacrificial anodes to be replaced. Propellers to be balanced and polished. The boatmaster recognizes that, out of the water, the boat cannot generate any power. All utilities like shore power, other generators, compressors, lifting gear, sanitation services required should be ordered in ample time to be supplied to the boat on docking. The boatmaster should ensure that all storerooms, toilets, and the boat's compartments should be locked for the purpose of security, and any loose gear should be stowed away before entering the dock. And arrangements made for who is in possession of the keys. The boatmaster secures all the upper deck scuppers with plugs to reduce the risk of pollution. Just like with bunkering operations, scupper plugs can be removed, temporarily, to allow the draining of accumulated rainwater. The dry docking of a boat provides opportunities to inspect tanks and do hot work maintenance. Tanks that are to be entered should be well ventilated beforehand. And fuel tanks needing hot work, or adjacent to tanks needing hot work, should be gas-free. The boat's crew and the dry dock workers attend a safety and regulation briefing. The bottom inspection is carried out as soon as the water is pumped out and the dock is dry, with the ship's bottom scraped free of barnacle growth. This inspection is usually carried out during daylight hours, especially after daybreak. The marine superintendent, the boatmaster, and the boat engineer enter the dock and go around the ship from forward to aft on both sides. The dry dock repair manager will also be present during this inspection. This first bottom inspection is a general inspection, and any noticeable defects will be further examined and corrective action taken accordingly. Normally the defects noticed are of two types. The boatmasters look for deep dents. The dents are further examined internally, to note the extent of damages to stiffeners fitted internally so that the damaged portion of the stiffeners are renewed along with the dented shell plating. The Boatmaster looks at areas of shell plating which have eroded. These will be gauged, and if needed, renewed to the extent required. Bottom preparation and painting are the first objective in dry docking. It commences on the first day and continues until almost to the last day in dry dock. On the first day, the areas requiring grit blasting are decided by the superintendent in consultation with the paint supplier and the dry dock's painting supervisor. They will identify the areas where heavy grit blasting is required. After grit blasting, 2 coats of primer paint are applied. A full painting specification could be as follows. On the top side, we use 2 coats of primer and 2 coats of finish paint. On the boot top and the bottom, we use 2 coats of primer, 2 coats of finish and 1 coat of anti-fouling paint. Paint thickness is measured in microns. A coat of primer, finish or anti-fouling paint is about 40 microns thick each coat. During the painting process, the paint supplier's representative checks the coating thickness using a paint thickness gauge, which is a strip of plating about 3 mm thick with markings, which whilst scrapping the half-dried paint indicates the thickness by the thickness noted on the plate gauge. The paint is applied by airless spray nozzles. The paint rep also inspects the blasted strakes before the primer paint is applied. Both the anchors along with their cables are lowered into the dock bottom and the chains are ranged to enable the chains to be calibrated. The diameters of the links are checked and noted and shown to the surveyor. Links on any chain length which have wasted are discarded by renewing the chain length utilizing the spare chain length. It is a good practice to turn the chains end to end at each dry docking so that the link wear is uniform. The chain lockers are cleaned of mud and accumulated water and painted with a slow-drying chlorinated rubber-based paint. This work can only be done in dry dock since the anchors and chains are taken out into the dry dock. Due to the frequent rubbing of the chain links on the collars during anchor dropping and heaving up the anchors, the collars get heavily grooved and if neglected can cause damage to the hawse pipes. Hence this work is done during dry docking when the hawse pipes are free of the chains. The echo sounders are serviced and the cables are checked for continuity and earth after cleaning the connections in the terminal box. The transducer plates are cleaned and a coat of fish oil applied on the transducers. The ship may be fitted with a Doppler speed log. This will be serviced and calibrated. The dry dock provides the best situation for verification since any transducers fitted underwater can be thoroughly checked and renewed if they are faulty. All zinc sacrificial anodes are to be renewed. Most of them would be completely wasted. If any unwasted anodes are found, they are not of good quality and hence must be renewed. The number of zinc anodes should not be reduced as they are calculated as a total quantity of zinc to be distributed all over the hull surface, especially on the bilge keels, the stern portion and on the rudder. The total mass of zinc used is proportional to wetted surface area of the ship and the mass of the propeller. If the ship is fitted with an impressed current system, then it must be serviced and calibrated. Boats are fitted with at least 2 sea chests in the machinery space area. There is a high sea section, and a low sea section, and perhaps an emergency fire pump sea section. The suction grids are to be dismantled and cleaned. The internal surface of the chests have to be scraped clean of all growth. In case of doubt, the casing plate thicknesses have to be gauged for thickness and renewed as necessary. After cleaning, they are to be painted in accordance to the ship's hull painting specification. The zinc anodes in the sea chests are to be renewed. All of the sea suction and discharge valves are to be overhauled at every dry docking. Every alternate dry docking they are surveyed. All storm valves flaps will be dismantled, their leather washers renewed and defective hinge pins renewed. The soil pipes will be inspected for any signs of excessive corrosion, cracks, and necessary renewals carried out. Any portions of the bilge keels which are found damaged will be suitably renewed. The rudder bottom plug is opened out in dry dock. If accumulated water comes out, it indicates the rudder plating is cracked and sea water is inside the rudder, making it heavy and sluggish to respond. To find the location of the damage, the rudder top plug is opened, the bottom plug refitted, and the rudder filled with water through the top plug. The location of the damage will be found out by water seen leaking out from the hole or crack. Repairs can now be carried out and finally an hydrostatic test can be done.